What's up guys, Daniel here. Welcome back to Wright. So recently Samsung released the S10 line as well as the Samsung Fold, which will be covered in a separate video. Now, no one has covered this topic yet. I'm extremely surprised. MKBHD has not covered this, Unbox Therapy has not covered it, not even Jonathan Morrison on his channel, which I am extremely surprised about. They are all late, which is extremely surprising to me, but you know, I'm sure they'll catch up. Right, so let's start with the Samsung Galaxy S10e model, which is the cheaper of the version, coming in at around $750. It's definitely not as cheap as you would think, but is definitely cheaper out of the options that you have. So assuming Samsung is releasing this phone as a consumer-friendly option to make it more affordable for people who don't want to spend $1,000 on the phone, when comparing this to the iPhone XR model, it does definitely have some edges up on Apple in terms of quality and what you're looking for. The S10e sports a fingerprint sensor which is located on the side of the phone in the power button, and the S10 lines have a new fingerprint sensor technology that we will talk about in just a few minutes. Moving on to the back camera section of the S10e model, the back camera main camera has a 12 megapixel f-stop 1.5 to 2.4 dual aperture lens for the main portion of the camera. The second camera on the back of the S10e is a 16 megapixel ultra wide lens that has a f-stop of 2.2. Now the S10e does sport the Snapdragon 855 with the 6 gigabytes of RAM at the base model with 128 gigabytes of storage, which you can upgrade with a micro SD card. So now that we've got the basics covered with the S10e, let's go ahead and move over to the S10 and the S10 Plus. Since both of these phones have similar features, I am going to be comparing their specs side by side on the screen for you. The S10 has a 6.1 inch display and the S10 Plus has a 6.4 inch display. Now both of these models have the curved edges that you do see in previous models, as well as the curved backings to match. So Samsung is calling these new displays Samsung Infinity Plus displays, which are HDR10 Plus certified, with that pinhole design that I actually did talk about in some of my previous videos if you wanted to go check those out. Now, instead of having a notch like the iPhone 10, 10s, and 10s Max does, they did actually use a laser cutout to be able to wrap the display itself around the front-facing cameras so that they can continue that edge-to-edge display. Something that I thought was actually very clever on Samsung's part is the stock wallpapers that you get when you first purchase the phone actually does have a darker corner up in the top right to kind of make the cutout less noticeable. Now let's talk about the fingerprint scanner, which is actually something that blew my mind a little bit. They're using a new ultrasonic technology that's going to allow you to put your finger directly on the screen itself, and they're having ultrasonic waves shoot through the screen to measure the ridges of your fingerprint, and then the echolocation is going to allow you to determine your identity and even unlock the phone without even the screen turning on. Yeah.
Hot damn!
Yeah. Back-facing cameras? Back-facing cameras? Is that what people say?
Yeah.
So the main camera is a 12 megapixel lens with an f-stop of 1.5 to 2.4, same as the S10e. The second lens is a 12 megapixel telephoto lens with an f-stop of 2.4. And the third lens is a 16 megapixel f-stop 2.2 lens with a 123 degree ultra wide angle. Now, something that I am not going to talk about in this video because it is going to be an entirely separate video in itself, Samsung later in the year is going to release a 5G S10 Plus model, which is going to sport 4 separate cameras, but we'll get into that a little bit more in the next video. Alright, so now that we've covered the specs on the camera lenses, let's move to the front-facing camera. So the Samsung Galaxy S10 is actually going to sport a 10 megapixel selfie front-facing camera, and the S10 Plus is going to also have an additional cutout on the front for a depth sensor camera when taking those blurry background photos. Now, in addition to the battery, both of these phones actually do have the Snapdragon 855, just like the S10e. However, the base prices and the specs are different for each of the phones. Now the S10 has a base price of $900 and starts out with 8 gigabytes of RAM, and you get 128 gigabytes of storage. Now you can easily upgrade this to 8 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage for an additional cost, of course. However, with any model like this, I don't really see why you would need to if you're gonna have a micro SD card slot, which is gonna allow you to put up to 512 gigabytes of storage into it internally anyway. So why would you pay the price difference on something like that if you're just gonna be able to buy like a $30 micro SD card and upgrade the storage anyway? All right, so moving on to the S10 Plus, it starts at around $1,000. Also has an 8 gigabyte RAM storage, and you have 128 gigabytes of storage itself for the base price. Now this phone has two different upgrade options. Now the first upgrade option gives you 8 gigabytes of RAM still, but you can also do the 512 gigabytes of storage itself. Now the second option, which I find a little excessive and don't really see why you would need to do this, but you can upgrade to 12 gigabytes of RAM and you can get 1 terabyte of storage. Now if you got the 1 terabyte of storage and bought an SD card, then you could potentially have a max storage of 1.5 terabytes, which is completely ridiculous. So unless you're just really excited about the amount of space that you're gonna have on your phone, I really don't see why you would need something like this. All right, so what I want you guys to do in the comments below is put down what your favorite feature the S10 was. If I did not cover it in this video, I want you to link it down below. And let me know if you plan on getting the S10 in the future. I know a lot of you guys are iPhone people, so am I. So I just want to see what you guys think and if you think I should make any more videos on something specific in the future going forward. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like this, put those comments down below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell so that you get notified next time that I have a video post. Links to my social media page, as well as everything I film with, is linked down below in the description box if you would like to take a look at that. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.